The Safe Toddles podcast. I'm Dr. Grace Ambrosaka, and I'm here with my co-host, Kelvin Crosby. Hey, Cal.
Hey there, everybody. It's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm excited to interview another parent today, Kylie, and be able to talk about her experience with the belt cane and how it's transforming her little one's life. And I'm just excited. I have definitely so far we've only done one other parent, and it's just been exciting just to hear the parent's perspective and just how exciting it is. So it just makes me giggly. So welcome, Kaylee. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Kelvin and Grace. It's nice to be here with you both and share how our experience have been with the belt cane so far.
Wonderful. Well, Kylie Quave, you're
Am I saying it right? Wrong? It's Kylie. All right. The screen reader says Kaylee, and so that's why I kept saying Kaylee because the screen reader says Kaylee. I'm like, all right, so it's Kylie.
got it. The screen reader got it. Got it. Interesting. All right, he's got some major tech things going on there. We have no clue, but So, but I know you tweet sometimes about dissertations, but you're a professor, or where are you? What is?
Yeah,
what
I'm a writing professor. So I teach science writing, and I'm an archaeologist also.
Very cool. And I think I was looking back that you contacted Safe Toddles like September of 2018, and little Matias wasn't even 20 months old. Is that right? How did you find us? What made you decide to do that?
He was like 1.5, and he had not started trying to walk really by then. But I guess I must have seen people talking about, and maybe it was even you talking about Safe Toddles on some Facebook groups for parents of blind and visually impaired children. And I thought, well, that's really great because we had just moved to the DC region where we live now and had just started getting new services for him. And our biggest worry was orientation and mobility.
So I'm curious on your thought process. Um, Curious, like, so why was the orientation mobility like one of your major concerns after you moved? And I mean, he was 1.5 years old. Is that correct?
Yes, he was one and a
Okay.
half, and we had just watched him really struggle with going into a new space. And I had actually taken him abroad for the summer with family, and that was really hard for him to be confident moving in space. And I think I knew enough to know that probably no one was going to put a regular cane in his hands yet, and it just felt like really excited at the possibility of something that would be appropriate for his age when we saw the belt cane and how that worked, and thinking about how to get him beyond the all the creative ways he was figuring out how to move safely in space that weren't going to be so transferable outside of our household. Yeah, so we just we just felt like that was I didn't even know how new I guess it was for the belt cane to be available. I think I had the impression that it was newer, but that
Mhm.
lots of people had been using it already. And I had no sense of how orientation mobility specialists saw the belt cane. I said that seems to make sense to me, so let's try that thing. And maybe we'll be on the wait list forever and we'll never get chosen.
Mhm.
Um, but that seems like the thing that my kid would probably need.
Yeah. So did you go through the waitlist process? Um, through the, or did you buy the belt cane?
We
She signed up for the sharing video.
Yes.
Okay.
She signed up for sharing her experience, which turned out to be such a gold mine for us. But I have to also say that we probably made it look incredibly easy and seamless. And just put it on your child, and he'll just walk without any trouble at all, right? And then what happened?
It's a miracle worker.
How did Matias feel about this belt and cane that you wanted to put on him? You weren't too happy, if I remember.
No, I mean we definitely wouldn't be like the poster children for, oh, we put the belt on our kid and he just took off and his life changed immediately. Um, so it definitely you know, and he has a particular kind of character of accepting things that aren't his own idea is not easy for him. So um,
Yay.
we I think pretty quickly after I reached out to you, Grace, you said, oh, we're going to ship it to you. And we did lots of video beforehand, and then after we got the belt cane too, and yeah, it did not immediately take. I don't
Yeah,
even know where to
yeah.
start on that front, but
Well,
And
could you tell us a little bit about that first experience where like, all right, here's the belt cane. Did you say, hey, here, buddy, let's put the belt cane on and let's see what you do, or how did that process go for you?
yeah, I mean, he didn't want anything on his body. I mean, he doesn't even want to wear clothes.
right.
So this is the big
Yeah, I
thing.
support the guy.
um, so I think, you know, at 1.5, it was hard for us to explain to him what the purpose was. And Grace was so great because she helped us think through strategies for, you know, persuading him and showing him through tactile ways what the capacity of the cane was. So it wasn't a matter of just like put the belt on and then click the cane on, but rather like help him understand that the cane does the same thing he's trying to do with the chair. Because I think we
Mhm,
got the cane in November, and had just
Yeah.
started walking with aids, and he was just using whatever he could move in our house as a walking
mhm,
aid. And so showing him, instead of this bulky chair that doesn't get you where you want to go, here's this other thing. And so kind of teaching him the same way you would with any cane, but then helping him understand that if he put it on his body, then he could do the things he wanted to do, like carrying around toys, and he could hold on to our hand. And so it was I mean, it was a long process of convincing him to wear it, and and even when we convinced him to wear it, you know, we still would have days where he didn't want to do what anyone else asked him to do. He only wanted to do his own thing. So, and that's still true now with the long cane that he primarily uses. That if he didn't think of it first, it's not happening. So,
mhm. So when you introduced it, so this has been the debate among several people that we've interviewed. Did you just
mhm.
introduce just the belt, or do you introduce the whole product?
Oh, I mean, I think we helped him feel all of it and explained it to him all at once. But like I said, we gave him the cane attachment first and had
Mhm,
him push it, and then it once that was accepted, it was very easy for him to accept the belt. Then he understood why something was going around his waist, and he was motivated, I think, to use the whole cane with the belt as intended. So that transition part was not the hard part, but it was the
mhm,
initial introduction, and then just the daily struggle of convincing him to stop and put it on and keep it on, and learn how to keep it out of the way to do what he wants to do. And actually, he was pretty good at keeping it out of the way to do what he wants to do. I think, you know, Grace has images of Matias like walking into rivers with his belt cane on, and doing all kinds of things that it didn't stop him. But the process of getting it, convincing him that it was something he wanted to use, was the hardest part.
mhm. So
We have a wonderful Calvin. We have a wonderful collection because of Kylie
yeah.
of before Belt Kane uh, playing in his room, all the chairs and the carts and things that he did do. And he had a
Mhm,
whole system of moving around his home connected to the wall and different cabinets. So Matias had worked some stuff out, right?
mhm,
He really did. And he was even using the push toy, to get from one place to the other somewhat. But it's what you could see in the video. It's very hard to turn. It's not very
mhm,
responsive. So there are drawbacks to some of the things that he was trying to use. And then the big question was, well, you know, after he starts wearing it and going with it, you know, how long and how often do we wear this thing? Is it really necessary in your own home? And so on, right? These are some of the challenging questions that such a new device proposes. And Matias is blind. He has no light perception.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
One of
I
the beautiful moments, since no one's talking, you you have like 10 minutes of this, crying about the belt, and then um his dad comes over, and you've really been working it, trying to get him to calm down and do it. So he throws in to help, and he kind of pulls Matthias along, and the cane finds a wall, and at that moment you see Matthias go, huh. And then, what's your husband's name? I'm sorry, I'm escaping me right
Gustavo,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, Gustavo goes over to him to then, interact with him some more. And you see Matthias go, no, 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 back off. I've got something going on over here. And the whole thing changed. And then you saw it immediately, Kylie. You came over and you started saying, yes, that's right. And so did Gustavo. That's a wall. That's right. It was just like almost like the water fountain moment
Yeah.
in Helen Keller, right? Because it's like a connection was made. And
yeah.
and I don't say that it was smooth sailing after that, but there was definitely, it helped me to understand that a child needs stuff to run into. They need to get that information that this frame is helping me in a way that I didn't know was available to me. I mean, it's just a
Mhm.
marvelous video, like so many of the ones that you
Mhm.
sent us that
So
we've posted.
I kind of want to come back to something that you said, because again, we're trying to sort through this debate that is among people that are using belt canes, is introducing the belt first and then you introducing the the cane itself. But you did the opposite, which you introduced the cane itself before the belt. And so kind of tell us, like, what made you go that direction.
I'm really surprised that people are doing that. Can
Me too. The belt.
um yeah, I mean, the belt was just, outright I mean, Grace has a lovely collection of my child having tantrums on video.
Educational purposes only.
It just the belt by itself didn't have a function for him, and I don't know if an older child would understand the purpose of the belt with the absence of the cane, but for Matias, he needed the connection of this thing helps me find where the walls are that I don't want to run into, and this thing helps me um, keep that on my body. And I actually don't know that he ever fully understood the physics of the belt, because and I'm talking in the past because he pretty much is only using the Long King now, which it turns
Wonderful.
out, I mean, the last time I sent you video of this, Grace, he was not doing so great, but he's doing really great with the Long King now.
Oh,
And
it's
it's actually the
wonderful.
only IEP goals that he's met this year have been orientation and mobility.
Oh,
And we've
fantastic.
had to create new ones because he's doing so well with that. Um, but
Wonderful.
and I fully credit the belt cane in my totally uninformed, non-expert anecdotal opinion. But it was the so coming back to, yeah, I don't think he ever really understood the way precisely that the belt and the cane itself connected. So we did have to occasionally help him to like keep things oriented in front for him, and he did, I guess the last few months of using the belt, he really understood how to reconnect it himself. He always understood how to disconnect it, but he did catch on to how to keep it in the right place eventually. And so, yeah, I'm not even sure really how to answer that, because for us it was the persuasion had to do with the getting him to buy in. And maybe other kids will do what they're asked to do, but I don't have one of those children,
Yeah.
so
Neither
so it
do
was
I.
a matter of making the case to him required us to introduce the cane first, and then to convince him that it was feasible for him to move
Yeah.
around with the cane there too. He's the kind of kid who likes to carry things around and likes to hold somebody's hand, and so it's not just a functional issue of wanting the hands free for other things, but it's like a preference too, I think, for him.
Well, and he went through three at least that I can remember, if not four. Sometimes they just got demolished because he was, using them, and other he just grew out of them. And so it's tough because, depending on the time of year, whether we could get it to you quickly enough. But it was really something that one time, I think because it had taken so long, but also because it kind of lined up. You were flying through to, I think it was Ecuador. Is that right?
Yeah, I never
So
even
I
told you
met
the
you in
rest of
the
it.
airport
Yeah,
to do a handoff because I'm
yeah,
like, we have to give you this cane on your way. You and
yeah.
Matias headed out.
We were flying through New York to go to Peru for
Peru,
3
Peru.
months, and he had outgrown his cane, and we didn't tell you in time. We couldn't get it by mail in time, and so yeah, I left the airport terminal to come out and meet Grace, who so generously came all the way to the airport with this cane, with two canes and a hat, and then they didn't want to let us back in. Actually, I never told you this part. That they
Oh,
tried to tell us that
I'm not
because I had left, we couldn't come back, and so I had to say, my child can't see and needs this to be able to see, and I need you to let me come back in because I'm trying to help my child move space. And so that led the airline to send a representative to help us get back into the terminal on time. Um,
wow.
so that was how much we knew that he needed that. That was how useful that
Mm-hmm.
was to him at that point. Yeah.
Right, to come
I mean,
out. And then you were a little concerned about how I was your relatives in Peru were going to, right, do
Yes.
it. But he came back fully using it. Like it seemed like it'd be a really great connection, right?
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah. And that was, back to why we initially looked for the belt cane, was this problem of being in a new space, and we knew taking him to Peru, he was going to be in another totally new space, and that just helped him really adapt to being out of his home in a way that I know wouldn't have been possible. It really made the whole thing much better for him, a much better experience. Yeah.
so I'm just curious. So that he try to play a hide and go seek from you? Like he takes his belt cane and picks it up and walks around the corner and hides and like you can't see me and then you try finding him. He taps a cane and then runs away again. I'm
To remove it, you mean?
yeah.
To get out of using it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so sometimes he would, walk away and then dispose of it, but yeah, he did sometimes just tell us outright, no cane, and just take it off and you, you know protest. Yeah, but he he uh he was very accepting of using the belt cane. When we drop him off at school, he would get out of the car, put it on, walk into the school with an aide. He would leave school on the school bus, put it back on to get off the school bus, walked home with it on. So he um, stopped protesting in the whole context of the preschool day,
Mm-hmm.
and was very consistent, and understood that he absolutely needed to use that to get into the school building and out of, um, and uh, and then within school, I think there was some variability in terms of whether it was used in the classroom or not. I can't really speak to that with as much information as I would like to have, but at home was where we had the ongoing protesting. Um, so, um, uh,
So what's funny when you say that? I picture him with a picket stick and his sign, "No cane, no cane."
no, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like that without the sign. Yeah.
Oh man, I
Well,
But
I
just love
mean,
these
he
if
stories.
I
became
may, I don't know if you want to. I remember him going to school initially at 3, the preschool, and you told me
mhm.
that they took it off of him and then they learned their lesson that probably wasn't so good, right?
Yes. I
have a
remember sending
little
you a really
collision.
panicked email the first week he was in preschool that he had gotten a big enough injury that he had to go to the school nurse and was inconsolable because they had taken the belt cane off. And, I think it was the first visually impaired student that they had. And they didn't know. And we had told
Right.
them that he needed the cane. And I made calls and asked questions and pleaded, please, and you even offered to talk to the staff, and we didn't do that. But uh, yeah, there was a big difference in understanding of what he needed when he first started preschool with relation to the belt cane. Yeah, and that gulf was bridged pretty quickly with that big goose egg he got on his head as a result of the difference. Yeah.
Well, I bet you a lot of people are wondering how old is he right now.
He just turned 4.
How old is Matias?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just turned 4. Hmm.
And he's using his cane. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
What other benefits do you think? Um, you know, I did he notice a language or a social or anything else?
Oh gosh, that's
Potentially.
hard. Yeah, I mean, I think that so when he was using the belt cane, so it's hard to separate like the pandemic times from the pre-pandemic times. But in the pre-pandemic
Sure.
times, when we would go into public, he would, he is and has been a child who is afraid of other children, but with the belt cane on, he was much more likely to like walk onto a playground and interact with kids. and
Nice.
um, and so we would, when he was not yet in preschool and he was using it when we'd pick up my other preschool age child at that time, he would he would join her class on the playground with the belt cane on. If we didn't have it with us, he did not want to go anywhere, not even with a handheld, but he felt confident walking onto the playground and talking a little with other kids. And so I think it really opened up social worlds for him that he wouldn't have had access to. um, and it's hard
Beautiful.
to know what that means now when he's 4, because he's just so isolated in this version of life we're living in.
Right. Of course. Well, that's beautiful, and I just feel like it's hard to know, and all of these journeys are so new because it is such a new thing, and you took a chance on it, and of course your story's not like, oh, and then everything was fine, it was just
Yeah.
like but that is okay. I have learned as much as I could from all of the things that you were able to send and to see, because what I noticed, and you confirmed, he became artful when he lifted the frame off and put it down. And so if he was holding dad's hand, he could take it off, but if he felt like there was a change, he put it down, and or if he heard a car, like echolocate on a car,
Mhm.
he'd reach out with the frame. It was just wonderful. It is wonderful to watch his interaction. To me, seems very intentional, in so many ways with his frame.
Yeah, and I can't remember when he stopped using it altogether in the past few months, but it was uh, it was pretty brief, that period where the long cane use was a little incompetent. He he's definitely seems to be, you know uh, bringing some skills that he learned with the belt cane into the other
I
canes
love it.
usage. Um, so we're really glad that he had that advantage of already having a lot of sense of what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that seems to have translated well for him.
Beautiful.
So, can you explain it? I mean, I think that's one thing we're still learning, that transition to the
A lot of
belt.
people want to know about it.
Yeah. So, from the belt cane to the long cane, I mean, there's been debate that we've had already can a 4-year-old really do a proper arc, or can a 5-year-old do a proper arc? Um, I'm curious, like what?
Well, if you're talking about what I have said, it's if they've never had a belt cane, they don't.
Okay.
And
So,
your folks have said that would prevent them from using a cane if they had this other one, which I've said that's
Mm.
ridiculous. So what we have here is anecdotal evidence about a young man, a little guy who had it for several years, at least 2 to 4, who's now understands cognitively what his long cane can do for him, right? I mean, that's what
mhm,
you're saying, isn't it, Kylie?
Yes, anecdotally, that's what it seems like to us. And uh, not being an O&M specialist, I don't know what developmental
Of course.
stages most kids go through, uh, but we are being told that he is doing very, very well with the cane, and we can see
Nice.
that he's really confident with the cane. He hikes with a cane